Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Past
Lives.
Lives.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura, and we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even movies about first loves.
Love
We
it.
love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Past Lives. A24's romantic drama film.
Woo!
Very
And
exciting.
oh my goodness, we have a special guest today.
What?
That's me.
Big news. Wow, we're so excited. We have Toya from Harlem here today with us.
Woo!
So
I'm
exciting.
so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
I actually met Toya at Podcast Movement, which is a podcast conference in Denver this year. And it's so amazing to meet a fellow podcaster. And then we ran into each other at the Renaissance concert in LA.
Yes, you know,
Crazy.
with Queen Mother.
Truly.
Of course, she would bring us together, of course, again.
Yes.
Bringing the children together.
Exactly.
Only Beyonce could.
Mm-hmm.
So Toya, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us about your podcast.
Yes, I'm Toya, also known as Toya from Harlem, all over the interwebs. And I have a podcast called That Wasn't in My Textbook, which is our bi-weekly podcast that helps us uncover the things we always wish we learned from that boring, bulky textbook. And it's an emphasis in the coverage on non-white history. So I have like the real history of Thanksgiving coming up in November. And I do stuff like I did the history of surfing, the history of the Black cowboy. I've done the history of cannabis. So all different types of topics. I've done the history of police. So it's just kind of like, you know, the history class you never knew you wanted to take. And if it was like really fun and straightforward and had a little cursing and was a little spicy, you know, you would take it.
Sign me up.
Exactly.
Taking notes.
That's the history class I want.
Yes. So, you know, take a listen. And yeah, I focus a lot on history, Black culture, Black art, Black books by Black authors. So that's really like my content everywhere for the most part.
Amazing.
Yay.
Thank you for sharing and being here. As a history major, I am a big fan of your podcast.
Thanks.
Particularly the history of Barbie episode was great.
Yes, I almost forgot about that one.
Yeah, Barbie came out this year, so that was a really good one. I recommend tuning in.
Yes, I love that one. That was a short, good bonus episode. So it's a good place to start. It's like 10 minutes.
Today we're talking about Past Lives. And I actually had not heard of this movie. I know Shelby had heard good things, but this was your recommendation, Toya. So tell us, why did you want us to see this movie? Why do the people need to know about it?
So my book club, which is like Well-Read Black Girl, it's the LA chapter, they were like, you know, we were talking and I was like, what's some good movies to watch? Like, you know, because of the protests and everything happening, I feel like there's really no like, all my shows are on pause. Understandably,
Right.
I stand in solidarity, but like all my shows are on pause. And so I was like, what's a good movie? I've been trying to find more movies to watch and like something that's a little bit more stimulating, you know? And they were like, oh, you should watch Past Lives. And I was like, okay. And I don't really watch stuff on, I think it's on Amazon Prime, right? I don't really watch stuff on Prime. So I was like, what? And they were like, on Prime. So I logged into my mom's Prime. Thanks, Mom. And I watched it. And I was like, this movie is amazing. So much so that I called my friend who lives in my building and I was like, come downstairs tomorrow. We're going to watch this movie. She's like a film person, like her and her, like she grew up with her dad, like watching movies. So she's always like watching all these films. And I was like, you need to come down. I'm going to make us dinner and we're going to watch this movie. And we like, I watched it back to back pretty much. And
wow.
I don't know. I just love it. We're going to get into it, but I would love to know, like I cried at the end.
So did I.
Okay. Laura, did you cry?
I didn't shed a tear, but my heart was hurting.
She's like, my heart was, yeah, like, I don't know. I haven't been moved by a movie I like that in a very long time. So I was like, okay, this must be good, you know?
Wow. Okay, Shelby, can you tell us more about the background of this movie? A24? Yes.
A24 did it again. You know, I feel like they are really great with more nuanced, unique, genre-specific movies. So I'm not surprised this is something they did. And this was Celine Song's feature directorial debut. She wrote and directed the movie, and it's actually a semi-autobiographical story, which I didn't know going in. But after watching, I'm like, wow. Like, I'm so amazed that that was her, inspired by her actual life. And the film premiered at the 2023 Sundance Film Festival earlier this year, and to rave reviews, which is why I had heard about it. I'd heard good buzz and reviews about the film, just hadn't seen it yet. So when Toya mentioned it, I was like, okay, I have to watch this movie. I gotta see it. People saying it could be one of the best movies of the year. So I was excited to finally tune in.
Yes. And recently, I was doing a lot of traveling this year, and I actually went to Seoul. So I was in Korea. And if you're watching, I'm wearing soju earrings that I actually got while I was in Seoul. So I'm repping Seoul today for Past Lives. And it was really cool seeing, I thought the cinematography was so delightful and gorgeous in this film. And it really brought me back. You see them walking up all these stairs and all the hills and all the houses, and that's exactly how it looks when you're there. Definitely go visit Seoul. Some of the best food I've ever had in my life. The Korean barbecue there is just unmatched. So good. So it brought me back. The movie brought me back for sure. Toya, what expectations did you have coming in? You got it as a rec from your book club. What were you expecting?
They basically kind of described it to me without saying too much. So like if you haven't watched it, it's a story of like two friends, childhood friends, and they kind of one leaves Seoul and moves to America, and it's kind of like this continuous like reconnection and disconnection between the two of them, and you kind of see that unfold. And there's like this pivotal moment, I guess, at the end of them like finally rekindling from like their childhood, and just like the journeys of like two people whose lives were together at one point, and they like go different ways just because how life unfolds, and they have different relationships and how those choices impact their lives and how they relate to each other. So they basically explained it to me like that, and they were like, "It's not a love story, but it's a story. It's not like like just watch it. Like you know what I'm saying." They were like, "We don't want to say it's a love story. It's whatever you make of it."
So we're gonna get into some of the main themes of the film, and of course, love, relationships, friendships. That's a great way to start. And the movie, we see these two kids in Korea, and one of them is moving. Our protagonist, Nora, she's moving to Toronto with her family and leaving Seoul. And she ends her friendship with her bestie, and they're both very sad. And that's basically the premise of the film. So they start out as friends, and then they kind of rekindle and become something more. Like, do you think they were actually like in a relationship?
Well, she goes to Toronto. Then,
Yes.
like in a very typical way, when like Facebook, it's like kind of nostalgic too, because it was like when Facebook first came out and you see like the old Facebook
Yeah.
platform. And she's like talking to her mom. She's like, "Whatever happened to that boy that I liked or whatever?" And then they're like looking him up, And then she like messages him on Facebook, which is very typical then. And they have like a Skype, they start Skyping, like, which is also
Yeah.
That was a
nostalgic,
throwback. I
right?
was like, Skype?
Skype.
And the sound, like the little dial-up sound for Skype, the little or
Skype.
whatever. Like
Took
I was
me
like,
back.
oh wow. I feel like it was something there. Like they were talking, it seems like a lot, like almost
Yeah.
every day, like transitioning to the different from night to day in the different time zones. And I feel like I feel like it was like a situationship, like a long distance situationship. That's what I would say.
I agree. You could tell it was like deeper than friendship. Like the conversations
sure.
they were having. And it was they were each other's first crush. Like they did go on a final date as kids, as 12-year-olds before Naya or Nora like moved to North America with her family. So they had like an initial attraction even though they were young. And then now, 12 years later, they're different, but there's still that pull.
Like, was she in love with him, or did she love how he felt like home and how that made her feel close to her culture?
I think it's probably both, but that's kind of how I started to feel. I was like, wow, like maybe she's just like missing home, and that you know, how she grew up. It was very nostalgic.
I want to say she missed home, but then when she like was having that conversation with Arthur, her husband, about like how he's so Korean, I felt like I was like really upset by that because I felt like she was being rude, like, you know, like trying to downplay him as a person. But I feel like you could see from her interactions with, you know, him, and then her interactions with her husband, like they just knew two different sides of her, and they loved her in two different versions of her, which we all are multiple versions of ourselves, I think.
I also thought interracial relationship specifically was really at the crux of this movie, because she was saying, oh, with him, I don't feel as Korean, like, because he's so Korean, right? But with her husband, like, you know, he's trying to learn Korean, and like Se-young feels like home for her.
It's interesting how when Arthur was recounting their story, like, oh, was it just for the green card? Or, oh, was it just for, you know, just the timing? And it seemed like he was like second guessing the relationship now that her first love is back in her life. And I do think it brought up like him being concerned, like, as an interracial relationship, does she just have more of a connection with Hae-sung because, you know, they're Korean and they grew up together than he does.
I appreciate Arthur being honest about that, like,
Yes.
bringing it up. I actually was more frustrated with Nora's response because I feel like she just kept on being like, absolutely not. And like her response at one point, which really was a red flag to me. I know we haven't done this yet. He was talking about, he's like, oh, you could run away with him. Like, he's like, this is a really good story. You know, he's a writer. And he's like being genuine and also trying to be lighthearted about it, and also kind of giving her a space to like be honest. And I felt like she refused to tap into what she felt or what she could be feeling. And I feel like her response was like, I'm not gonna let some boy stop me from my play or something like that. She said that, and I was like, you didn't say, oh, I love you, honey, like my husband. She was just like, I'm not gonna let some guy stop me from my job. And I felt like that kind of went back to the theme of why her and his song, like when they got back together through Skype, she wasn't very like, you know, she was like, you're distracting me from my career, you know, passion and love. And it felt like Arthur was kind of saying that, and like that he was that option because he was able to provide the green card, and with that she could stay in America and like pursue all the things she wants to pursue career wise. And yeah, I just didn't really feel like a lot of love between her and Arthur. Like I felt, and like that's fine.
Agreed.
You know, I think as you become adults, and you know, now with this Will Smith and Jada thing, you see like some people, it's just a business, you know, and like, yeah, it's a lot.
As a hopeless romantic, it did feel like Nora was denying that love. Like she clearly had a connection with Hae-sung, but kept denying it when they were Skyping, and she decided, no, I'm going to focus on being in New York in my career. Ended it. And then when he comes to visit her 12 years later, you can tell she did care because she finally cries again at the end. Like she clearly cared for him, but was not able to admit it. Like they're just before
until
he leaves.
The very end.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she was crying. Like I feel like it was like finally like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like you cannot deny this anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Irony that she finally cried at the end, you know, when they were talking about how she used to be, because she used to be a crybaby when she was little, and like figuring that out. And then like, okay, she stopped crying when she got to like North America. And then she finally started crying at the end when her best friend finally left. But I also just don't want to like go in on Nora because I also feel like Hae-sung was also kind of like not tapped in. You know, like when she talked to him on Skype, she's like, we have to talk. You already know when somebody says we have to talk, you already know something's up. Like, you know, you're having a serious conversation or you done fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So
Totally.
he's at school, you see him get the text, he runs home as he should, you know, gets on Skype, and he's like, what's up? And she's like, when do you want to see me? And he's like, I don't know. I have to study for a year and a half. I have to do. I was like, wrong answer. Wrong answer.
Taken it seriously.
And then she's like, so when he is like obviously prioritizing his stuff, she's like, okay, well, I have to do this, I got into this program and I have to do this. And
Right.
I'm like, and she's like, so I don't want to do this anymore because I'm over here looking at tickets and you are like not going to come here for a year and a half. Also, he did not say, I want to see you. Okay. Like, I'm just also, I don't know the structure of school in other countries. I'm like, do you get like a spring break? Do you get do you get a week
Literally.
off? Like, why can't you? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if someone says, when are you going to see me? And you say a year and a half from now, like,
Wrong answer.
Wrong answer. It's like when Aiden told Carrie, wait for me 5 years, Laura. That's what I thought of.
No.
And then just like that.
I
Wrong
don't even want to talk.
answer.
Wrong
Yeah,
answer. Like, technology is too advanced. Like, the flights are
Come
too
on.
often
Get on a
for
plane.
you. There's a weekends. You could miss one day of class. You could leave like on a Friday, come back on a Monday or a Tuesday morning, go to class. I don't know. Have somebody take some notes for you. I don't know. But it's just like, come on. Author, he proposed. He was like, oh, like you could run away with him. Like you could like just leave. If you guys, Shelby and Laura, if you were in that situation where you had some like childhood friend, like he comes and visits you, you're married, but y'all
Mhm.
ain't got no kids, y'all living in a tiny apartment. That apartment in the Lower East, whatever
Small.
village, and though New York
I'm
City, I'm from New York City, but
screaming.
they're like in the village, and those apartments are expensive and small because you just want to be in the neighborhood. The bathrooms in the kitchen. I don't even know what was
Right.
happening in there, but would you consider like either rekindling this? Maybe you don't want to go back to Seoul, but like, would you maybe have gone back to Seoul with him for a little while? Like, would you have stayed with your husband that is author, not anybody else?
Arthur specifically.
The
Author
That
distinction.
changes.
specifically, yes.
I'm
You are
scared.
Nora and author's your husband.
Okay, this is a good question.
Hard one.
If Hae Sung was more aggressive or maybe was like, I want you. Like, I've made a mistake. I came here for you. Please come back with me. Then I would consider it. But kind of like what we said before, he never really stood up for himself. He never advocated for her. He never fought for her. And I'm not going to pick up and leave my husband Arthur, even though Arthur seems like a nice man. But I mean, Hae Sung is fine compared.
Not really a comparison.
Right? I mean,
Okay, all right. And
mean,
he's speaking to you in a different language, your language.
right?
That connection.
He is fine. So if he was like, come back with me, I want to be with you, I made a mistake, then okay, maybe I have to run away with Hae Sung. But he did not do that. He didn't give me a reason to go back with him. And I'm not gonna abandon my whole life for someone who's not gonna fight for me. That's how I feel.
I feel like I would need to have had more conversation. It felt like they were just enjoying each other's company, but never talking about the real things. And when they're standing out there waiting for the Uber, like just talk about why are they not talking? Like I would have needed to have a conversation. To your point, Laura, to just get a better sense of like where his head's at, but also it's on Nora to be like, hey, I'm actually feeling something with you right now, and I've been trying to like downplay it, but there might be something here. Like I think they need to have that conversation. And if I had gotten a little clarity, I think I would have gone with him. It seems like the marriage with Arthur is just, to your point, Toya, kind of loveless. They're sweet, but it seems like a strategic partnership. We're both writers. Yeah. We're both in New York. It's good timing.
Green card.
Like it didn't seem...
We have a routine.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think you want to go for love. At least I would go for love. Love over routine.
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like they did kind of start having the conversation at the bar, though.
A little bit. Being like, what if we had kids? And
like,
what?
Yeah. Which was like so crazy to be doing in a different language in front of author who could not speak what they were speaking. Like, cannot speak.
Crazy.
But I also feel like in Hae Sung's defense, he was also trying to be respectful. He was like, I know she has a husband. Like, I also feel like maybe it was a cultural thing where it's like, I don't think he would even know to do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I think he was also just like, I think also like in a lot of other countries, no disrespect to America, it's also about being respectful. And he was just like very respectful from the way that he embraced her, the way that he like, when he met her husband, like, I feel like, and he was like, I hate that I like your husband, and to me, I was like, Like, okay, like you're
Oh.
telling me something here. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you want to be with me and you hate that I'm with someone. That's what he just said. And even in the
That's
when they were
true.
standing there waiting, he was like, "Well, what do you think we've met before?" and like stuff like that. Like I just feel like he was doing what he could, like
Yes, he was
tethering
giving
that line.
signs.
Yeah, to be
That's
respectful
fair.
because I think now it's like I already came here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you already know what's up. To me, it's like you
Yeah.
have to decide. You're the one who's married. You're the one who put me on pause. I finally came here. Yes, it's mad late. It's like 12 years later. But like, girl, you're the one who has to step out of your marriage. You have to make that choice on your own.
It was on Nora.
Interesting.
And to your point, I do think he was always the one chasing, right? Like he reached out on Facebook trying to find her. Like I do think she needed to take a bit of initiative because clearly
Mm.
he had made various decisions. To your point, came a little late with the trip, but various decisions to show that he cared.
And what did you think when Nora said, I came to Seoul with my husband and I reached out and you did not respond? What did you think? Because she, of course, she was there with her husband before they got married, but she did reach out and he never responded.
I don't know. She cut him off. Basically said we're gonna take a break, which is like if for you to get married in that time, that means it's been longer. Like I don't know. I also feel like what is a break is a breakup. So basically, you kind of like ended our situationship, tried to make it seem like you're gonna circle back, but you didn't. You didn't spin the block. Instead, you hit me up to meet. Like I haven't seen you in years, and then you're like, "Hey, I'm here with your husband. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to meet your husband." Like, are you serious right now? Yeah, like it'd be one thing if you were like, I'm here, I would love to meet you one on one or something. At least let's have a one on one before you're trying to introduce me to your man. When I was trying to be your man, like what? Get out of here.
I love your perspective because I feel like we're thinking about this movie so differently. And I know that Shelby and I also are thinking about this differently. Yeah, I guess she came she's all the way to Seoul. Like, that's a long flight, right? And she's there. And if you've loved this girl for so long, even if, it's with her husband, like, I was shocked that he didn't go and see her. If, like, she's supposedly the one.
I think that's why it took him so long to finally be like, okay, I can visit you now because I can accept that we're not going to be a thing, but I still want to see you. You know, like, and so I feel like it was too fresh. And like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I was like in a Skype relationship with like my childhood lover and we like reconnected and then they put me on ice and then they're like, hey, I'm in town with my husband, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, think about it if it happened to me and someone was like, hey, I'm here with my wife, like, I'd love to see you. Like, that would be weird.
Not seeing them.
Okay, another big theme was fate and timing. And In Yoon, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but In Yoon is the
I love
Korean
that concept.
phenomenon.
Yes.
We have to talk about it because it was such an important part of the film. So, In Yoon is the belief that the interactions between two people in this life are owed to interactions in their past lives. The concept suggests that some encounters are not, as we might first assume, accidental, but rather a cosmic tug on our sleeve. It's basically like we're all interconnected, and people you're interacting with now are people who you interacted with in a past life. So, do y'all believe in this?
And like maybe you have a connection with someone because of that past life. So they were talking about that quite a bit. Like, why is there a tug? Why is there a pull? Oh, because maybe we have some past connection. I don't know if I believe in that like specific term, but I do believe that like you can have like a spiritual connection with someone that's like hard to explain.
I hope that is how life works, where it's kind of like you get to come back in a different form or in a different experience. Like I hope it just doesn't end in this body, you know? But again, I don't really know. So it's like it's something that I hope happens. And I do feel like there are some people that I've met that I feel like very comfortable with, or like, interactions with people that have felt kind of like familiar, or someone like, you meet someone and you're like, you remind me of like my grandpa, and like stuff like that. I guess to some degree I believe in it. I think I need to learn more about like what it means in that culture.
I honestly have no idea how I feel, but I think it's a really interesting concept. It seems like in the movie, Hae-sung and Nora, it felt like their childhood was a past life. Like it was such like this bubble as children in Seoul. And now 24 years later, right? They come back and they see each other and they're just in completely different places. So I also feel like in this life, there could also be segments that feel so different and can feel like a past life. And I also like that how at the end, Hae Sung was like, "What if this is a past life, and if in the next life we're actually connected in a different way?" So I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I think it's a really nuanced, fascinating concept that I was intrigued to learn about in Yoon. I liked it.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I like what you just said, Laura, about like even in our lives, we can live multiple lives. I think about that when I meet people and they're like, I used to do this job. And now I have like, people talk about the different careers they've had or different
Right.
places they
Yeah.
lived. And those do feel like different lives. Like, like my high school feels completely different than what I'm doing now. And like,
Yes.
so it can be like literal, it can be cosmic in terms of like, or spiritual in terms of like thinking about reincarnation and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I think it's beautiful. Like what you just said, like we, even in this one life, you live multiple lives.
I love like when you hear the title of something in the movie. I was that Leo
Yeah.
meme when they said it. I was like, oh my gosh, past lives. Ready. Should we dive into our favorite moments? I think we kind of touched on a
Yes.
few. For
Mhm.
me, I really loved the park date as kids when it was Na Young and Hae Sung in the beginning. Like they had crushes on each other and they were finally just able to like hang out outside of school. And it was like the
Yeah.
last hurrah. It was sad because it was right before Nora was going to be immigrating to Canada. But I just thought it was so cute and relatable. Like you were saying at the beginning, Toya, I think we all can relate to like a childhood crush, first love. So it was cute to see that.
I
And
love that
this,
her mom set it up. Like she was like, "Do you
yeah.
want?" Like she came home and she was like,
Yes.
"I like this guy from school," and her mom was like, "Do you want to go on a date with him?" And like
Oh.
she like hit his mother up, and they like went on a
Yes.
date. I was like, "Okay, mom, like I like you,"
Okay.
Like
just like.
that. Yes.
And even when
Progressive.
when they were like playing, the mom was like, "I want her to have like good memories," like she was doing it because
Mm.
she wanted her to have good memories. And there was like one quote that she said that I wrote down. She was like, when the lady was like, "Well, why are you leaving Seoul? Like you have like they were already, I guess her parents were already established as like
Mm-hmm.
filmmakers and playwrights or whatever, like in Seoul, and they were going to Toronto and other places to kind of expand." And she was like, "If you leave something behind, you gain something too." And I was like,
Mm.
Mm.
oh, I like really like that. I remember being like, I'm gonna write that down because I feel like a lot of times, we think of leaving as sad, and it
Mm-hmm.
can
Yeah.
be, but you can also like gain something too. So I was like, okay, mom.
Yeah, I loved the park scene, the moms kikiing, talking about their kids together. I loved that. And the scene where they're on the stairs, Nora and Haesung, and they're like leaving each other. That was like really sweet.
Yeah.
Really cute. So,
So
and I also
emotional.
loved when they're in the school and Nora was like, I'm going to Canada to win a Nobel Peace Prize, something like that. And it was referenced so many times in the film. And Haesung was like, "What award did you win? What award do you want to win?" That was just really sweet how
So
there was a
sweet. He
callback to that.
listens and the
Yes,
Yeah.
callback.
also, I love that about him. Like he paid attention. And I also, what I liked about the park scene from when they were kids, they then when they reunited, remember they were in a park in New
Yes.
York City. So it's
Full
like, what was
circle.
that? I don't know how many years later, but it's like when they were kids, they had that little park date as their last thing, and they were holding hands in the car. Oh my God. And then
So
they reunited in a park, and I felt like that was probably done
Mm.
intentionally, but it was like
mm-hmm.
really crazy, like that was like the ending and then kind of like the re-beginning for them when they finally see each
Yes.
other.
I didn't
Mm.
realize that. I didn't make that connection. The park date and then they meet each other in a park. That's good.
Mhm.
I also just love when they reunited in NYC. That was just so cool to see. And the standout scene for me was when they're at that bar and all three of them were there, and Haesung and Nora were having this really deep, intense conversation with their husbands sitting right there. I gotta hear your thoughts. I was like, how dare they have this conversation right in front of Arthur? Like, that's being like, what if we had babies? What if it was like if we had
Well, he can
kids?
understand them, y'all.
I
He
mean,
did speak Korean.
true.
Very little. He wasn't doing that. He's like baby. He's like kindergarten Korean. Not what they were talking about.
I thought it was kind of out of pocket, but yes, he couldn't understand what he was saying. But they were fantasizing about a life together.
I'm pro the conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, I do think it's strange that Arthur was there, but I think he kind of knew the situation for what it was. You know, like these two old friends were catching up. He wanted to kind of be there for his wife, but also knew that they had to catch up. So I didn't have an issue with it. I just felt like they were kind of like beating around the bush about their feelings. That's why I was kind of annoyed.
I feel like I understand why it happened. Like, I feel like, you know, when you like rekindle with someone or if you like have a fight with someone, you kind of like do the little small talk before, and then you finally, at the very end, finally start really talking about the thing that's the thing. And I feel like that's what that was. Like, they were doing these little day activities together. And it was really nice. And then it wasn't until like literally hours before his flight that they were like, oh, okay, we have to stop like playing around. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I wish Arthur didn't have to be there, but I think he was there. And luckily for him, he didn't understand everything. It was direct, but it was indirect, you know?
Yes.
And I feel like her marriage, unfortunately, inhibited her from really being able to say what she wanted to say. Like, you know, or think what she wanted to think. And she's more respectful than I am because I don't think I would have done that. She was just like in denial the whole time. And I was
Big
like,
denial
girl, even your husband knows and he don't even care.
Literally.
I was like, where are your friends? I feel like the problem is that she didn't have any friends or none of the friends were in this thing because it's like, even when she came back from the first day or the second day or whatever, and she was like, he's so Korean. And she was like, and he was like, oh, are you attracted to him? I was like, this is something you need to be talking about with your girls, not your husband. Like, you know what I mean? This is a conversation with your sister, your homie, not your husband.
No,
Because
not
you can't honestly answer these questions to him.
No.
That
That's a
is
really
such a
good
good
point.
Where were Nora's friends? I'm with you. Or call her mom. Call someone.
Call
Reach
your
sister.
mom.
Like, talk to someone about this. I agree.
And we saw in Korea that Hae Sung had his group of guys. Like, he was talking about her. He had that support group to talk it out. But I totally agree. Where were her friends? I did not notice that
That's
until
a red flag.
now.
Your friend, you should have friends or someone to talk about this with.
Where's your sister? Where's your little sister?
Yes. The sister, the mom. Strange that she didn't confide in someone besides her husband. So we kind of talked about our least favorite moments. Nora breaking off the Skype calls, her situationship. That was rough. You know, she chose her career over these Skype dates. And I mean, kind of like what we said, it seemed like Hae Sung, he couldn't, make a decision. He wasn't committing the way that Nora needed him to commit. And the wrong thing to say, do you want to see me? Come visit me. No, 1.5 years. I can't see you. You got to make it work, right? If you really want to see someone, you got to make it work.
Yes.
Yeah.
The scene when Nora is talking to Arthur about, are you attracted to Hae Sung? And Arthur's doubting the relationship with Nora. And there's definitely some jealousy there,
Yes.
I mean, understandably.
Yeah,
like,
justifiably
I admire Arthur for like really standing 10 toes down on it and like bringing it up and being like, I totally understand why you would do this. This is a great story. This is a great happy, like, I feel like he handled it really well.
I totally agree. I thought Arthur was, the consistency that Nora needed. He was, the strong husband figure being like, I'm here for you, do your thing. If you want to see this old friend, like, I support you. And I thought that he was very mature in this film. He never freaked out. He never got upset. So I respected Arthur for sure for how he handled everything.
Yeah. I also feel like, I respect him, but I'm like, what could he have done to make it a little bit more spicy? Like, I don't know. I feel like I think as the wife, maybe I would want you to be like, not like, obviously you can't tell me what to do, but I don't know. I feel like he could have, this is what I think this relationship is boring, like her and Arthur, because it's like, when are you going to be like, okay, like, I don't know. I feel like he was like a little too nice.
Toya, please tell us what you think. Who do you have for love to hate?
I have an item actually, but
yes.
So like, when they first met up in the park, Haesam was wearing a book bag. And I was just like, why are you wearing a book bag? Like, so that was something that was my love to hate. Like, I
Not
was very
having it.
confused about it. Like, it made him look like when they
A
first
kid.
left, like when he
Yeah.
was like 10. I'm like, you carrying this book bag all day? I didn't see him go on this book bag once the first day. Like, I was just like, no, I don't know what men carry nowadays. You know, I don't know how they carry their stuff. It's really sad. They need something, but like, or like a
Yeah.
fanny pack. You know, you do like the
Yes, a
shoulder,
fanny.
like
Yes.
not like the waist, but like you know, you do the little side thing with the fanny
Mhm.
pack. Like, I just hated that he showed up with a book bag. Cause he looks so good, you know, and he's like tall and he's like, and I'm like, but this book bag is it's bringing you down, man. So that was my love
That's
to
so
hate
funny.
was that damn book bag.
That's a good one. For love to hate for me, I know Laura disagrees, but I put Arthur because as much as I respect him for like being so mature, I also just the hopeless and romantic in me was annoyed he was standing in the way between Nora and Haesung. And that's like not on him, right? Nora wanted to marry him, but he was just kind of in the way. And I think it stopped Nora from being able to be super honest with Haesung about how she felt. So that's nothing that Arthur did, but just his placement in all of this. His character makes me love to hate him.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like I would put Nora in there because I just felt like she was just so out of touch, like in
Yeah.
terms of how she felt until the very end when she's bawling on her husband's shoulder about another man. Like, girl, you didn't have to do this to yourself. Like,
Yeah. She
so
kind of played
I
herself.
like, yeah, I would put her there.
I also want to ask, why do you think Nora was crying? Like, what was the crying
Mm.
about? Because at the end, I was like, is she, like, I didn't know why she was upset. Like, was it because she's in love with him? Was it because it was just this really intense meeting? Like, what are y'all's thoughts?
I think it's because she is in love with him. And this is
Mm.
like the one that got away. And because of like her career, her marriage, she can't be with him. And I think she was kind of like mourning that potential relationship. Also, like the friendship, the fact that they didn't really have a friendship for so long when they could have. Like, I think she was just like, wow, this is just like sad. Like, I'm glad I got to like see him, but sad that they didn't have the relationship they did. And now he's gone.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think similar to Shelby, like as she just sounds like she was mourning her past life. Like I feel like she was
Mhm.
like my childhood, like when I was a little bit more emotional, when I was more Korean, because she said she feels less Korean. Like I feel like she was
Mhm.
just mourning the person that she used to be and like how he reminded her of that and represented that and like the decision she could have made to make that relationship work or not, or at least to
Mhm.
give it a chance. Cause I feel like she didn't really give it a chance. It doesn't mean they would have been together, like even if they would have seen each other at that age. But I feel like she just cut off so much of herself.
I agree. After talking and reflecting, she was definitely mourning her past life. Not necessarily like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this man. I can't believe he's leaving, but just everything he represented. For Hate to Hate, we have bad timing here. It just felt like they never had the right opportunity to really pursue things because she left when, she was 12. They didn't have a chance to, really start a relationship. And then having to do a situationship via Skype and in a time zone that is so different, like that is not the best way to start a relationship either. And then of course she gets married. There's just never they were on different they're on different planes. Like they kept on missing each other.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would put Nora in there. I meant to put her. I put her in the love to hate, but I hate to hate her sometimes. Like, I feel like she was the villain, you know, a little bit.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh,
Tell us
And
why.
I'm all for female empowerment. So I do want to bring, like, that's why I was like, we could talk about how Hassan, like, dropped the ball. But I feel like she just, like, I think her inability to, like, tap into her feelings the whole
yeah.
time until the end just made me be, like, so frustrated with her. Another hate to hate was just that Skype conversation, just how they both were just not saying what they wanted to say.
No.
Like she's
Mhm.
like, "When do you want to visit me?" "Oh, a year and a half." "Okay, well, I want to take a break." And he's like, "It's fine. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend." And she's like, "Cool." And it's like, what?
And then it truly altered their lives. Like, I don't think they knew at that point what that would mean. But literally, what was it? Like, within a month, Nora meets Arthur at this writer's retreat.
For Love to Love, we have New York. I mean, we're all from New York.
Love
born
a
and
movie set in New
raised.
York.
So we just love New York content. We love seeing the scenery. I love
love
anything.
in New York. I love love in New York. Like a love story in New York is just
Yes.
the
I can't
best.
tell y'all. It's just you gotta experience it for yourself. It's so cute.
Yes. And there's so many, I feel like, great rom-coms or romances set in New York. So to your point, there's something special. Romance in New York. You can't beat it.
I kind of liked, I know it's kind of cheesy, but I liked like all the rain. Like, remember when he was with his friends and they're like, it's gonna rain while you're there, like for the whole time, and then it rained, and then it was like sunny the day they finally met.
Yes.
That was cool. That was so cute. A little cheesy, but cute. But it was like subtle cheesy, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. I liked how the movie wasn't over the top with, the cheese, like you said. It was all very subtle, slow burn, as we discussed. Yeah, everything was very tasteful, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was sweet.
I loved that they didn't kiss at the end. I loved that.
Yes. I
You loved
also
that?
I
Yes.
also agree. A kiss wouldn't have felt right.
No, and it would have made it cheesy, I think, and I think it would have made it disrespectful. Because if you want to kiss me, you need to leave your man. Okay, I'm not trying to break up a happy home.
No home records.
If you're
I'm
happy, that is happy in
screaming.
quotes.
Happy. I feel like I agree that maybe a kiss wasn't the way for it to end, but I wanted more of a happy ending. Like that, I think, is for me what I was like, oh, like it ended with her crying in Arthur's arms, and then he sung, driving off. So
I think his song had a happy ending.
Really?
You do?
Yeah, I mean, you saw him like he was like on the Brooklyn. Well, I don't know what bridge he was on. It looked like the Brooklyn Bridge, but he was on a bridge and he had the window down and he was like looking at the city. I feel like he got the closure. Like I feel like it was like he got the closure. He finally got to see her. He got it confirmed, but he already knew from the beginning. That's why he was looking for her. You know what I'm saying? Like he already knew and he like confirmed it. And I feel like for her, it like that's why she was crying because it opened up all these things that she had been suppressing. He hasn't been suppressing it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it was just kind of like this shift of energy of like he feels closure. He understands what it is. She's not going to choose him. She's married. Cool.
Yeah, as he's driving off in the car, he looks kind of hopeful and at peace.
I loved his son's friends. They were they were fun. They were like, we drink until we die or something. Like they were having a great time. I liked his group of friends.
Totally agree. Okay, Toya, so this is red flag, green flag, 1, 2, 3. Shelby and I are gonna ask you some hot questions, and you gotta let us know if it's a red flag or a green flag, and your take, how you feel. Okay.
I'm ready.
Toya, is it a red flag to fly around the world to see your childhood sweetheart, even though they're married? Guess.
I feel like it's a reddish yellow flag.
Orange.
Yeah, it's orange when you're adding yellow. Like orange. It's an orange flag because it's like it could be like romantic and cool, or maybe he's just trying to be friends. But it's like I don't know. Like I get it. You know? I don't know. I can't hate it.
Okay. So we're in the middle.
Do y'all think it's a red flag? If you're married, maybe. I'm problematic.
You're here for the chaos,
You
right?
want the mess. You want the mess, the drama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
come see me, married or not. No, I'm kidding.
We know what Toya wants.
It's just a visit. No one's saying I'm gonna be disrespectful. It's just a visit.
Right. I think it depends on the intentions. Like if you're trying to get her back, that's probably a red flag. But if you just want to like catch up, maybe that's not bad.
Like if I'm like a leg of your trip, like I don't even know if I would be like every day hanging out with him. Right. I feel like even as a partner, I feel like if I was author, I'd be like totally cool with this. Obviously, you're your own person. I just think it might be a little inappropriate and it make me uncomfortable that you're spending every day with this person.
I agree.
I'm aligned. I feel like what Hae Sung did is kind of a red flag because he made it seem like it was his vacation, but it was not.
He had no other plans but to hang out with her.
No other plans.
Yeah.
Okay, Toya. Is it a green flag to hang out with your ex and your current partner at the same time. So basically, Nora at drinks at the bar with Arthur and Haesung.
I mean, I think that situation was weird because they were like speaking, the conversation was inappropriate. But I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Like, I think if I think about it hypothetically, I feel like if you have an ex and you guys are really cool and you're trying to convince me that you're cool, yeah, I have to be around. I have to see the dynamic for myself, right? Like, in order to be comfortable with it, in order to truly believe it, I need to be present. And if you're just friends, then it shouldn't be a big deal if I come somewhere with y'all, or like we all hang out, or like they have a partner, we go on like a little double date. Like, if you're really just friends, it shouldn't be a big deal. If it is, to me, it's like, okay, well, you're not friends. Why can't your current partner be around if you are just exes who are friends and platonic?
Facts are facts.
I feel like it's semi-required. I feel like if you have an ex that you want to continue to be friends with, then you need to introduce them to your partner so that they all know each other, and not kind of low key in a way, let them see the interaction to understand that it's just platonic.
I like that. Yeah, I
Completely
mean,
agree.
if your ex is in your life and, you know, like you said, you're friends and you hang out, then yeah, you should be able to hang out with both your ex and your current partner.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I would like to be introduced to her and we can all hang out together. Not all the time, but like, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Just don't speak another language with that person.
No.
Yeah, we're all
understand.
speaking the same
Oh my
language.
gosh. If they're having a conversation next to me, no.
Y'all can do that on your one-on-one.
Yeah. Let's speak
Y'all have a different
the
language.
same
But we're
language,
all
please.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, how are we feeling? Is Past Lives a wait or a watch?
I think it's a watch. I told my friend, I watched it 2 days in a row. So, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed it. I definitely am someone who likes, you know, maybe comedies more. I don't love like slow burn movies as much, but I thought it was really well done. It was sweet. I thought the acting was great. It felt like a real story, you know, and of course it's semi autobiographical, but it felt very raw. It felt very authentic. I thought it was well done. I really enjoyed it. It's a watch. Shelby?
Surprise. I'm also a watch. This was like a movie to me. You know, not like it, to your point, Toya, it wasn't a cheesy romance. Like, real stuff was happening. It reminded me of some of like the more like authentic movies that I like, where you're kind of just seeing people live their lives, and there wasn't like a crazy fight or like CGI. Like, just literally realistically seeing these people live their lives and deal with like human relatable issues, which is some of like the favorite content I like to watch. So I love that component, and I thought it was a very like beautiful romance with like a unique twist premise. Like, the past lives was a really cool common thread, I think, to have throughout. And I learned something, which, you know, coming away learning something and enjoying yourself with a movie, what more can you ask for?
It's always a plus.
Always.
Yes.
We love diverse representation and diverse stories.
Yes.
You know, we gotta have more people in more different cultures, you know, represented in film. So it was great to see an immigrant story, you know, seeing a Korean family come to North America. So, and it had a lot of subtitles. I felt like, do you think they were probably speaking more Korean than English in the movie? Maybe, but
yeah,
but
I
I thought
so.
that was interesting, right?
Yeah,
I think it was
75%. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
because between like when they were child, like when she was in Seoul, it was all that, and then when she came to America, she was speaking English, but then she started talking to him on Skype, and they were speaking Korean, and
Right.
then like it was really just her and Arthur speaking English, and then when she would go the whole day with the other guy, and she would speak Korean the whole day. So yeah, I think like 75 to 80 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you don't see a lot of movies like that. So I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, yeah. And the cinematography like was so beautiful, like the shots and stuff. Like I just love just how they shot everything. And even the beginning of the movie, like how it was like someone sitting across the bar trying to guess the last bar scene, like what was happening between them and how that came back full circle.
I like
and I feel like
that.
we all have played that game of like, you're people watching, you're like, oh, I wonder what their story is, or like what's happening in their conversation. So you see these people sitting across the bar kind of being like, oh, I think that's her husband and blah 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 blah, and they're like all guessing, and then we get straight into the story.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Totally.
And in terms of cinematography, I feel like there were a lot of shots that like stay in my mind, like in particular when they're kids, like on the stairs. I just thought that was so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And then when they reconnect in Central Park and Hae Sung's kind of standing there and then he sees her, I'm like, oh, that's in my mind rent free. So beautiful.
Yes. And even when they're standing at the end with their luggage and they're just staring
Mm-hmm.
at each other and they do the shot of them when they were
Crazy.
little kids on the stairs. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like this is so
Mm-hmm.
nice. I did a little deep dive digging, the historian in me. And
Yes.
they did like interviews with the cast. Like you go on YouTube, you look at Past Lives, people are reviewing this. They have interviews with the cast. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently they could not physically touch. Like the director was like, I don't want you to touch
Wow.
until the actual Central Park scene when they like actually hug. So they could not like
Mm.
hug or touch each other on set. So like that first
Oh,
hug that they
Wow.
wow.
had, and she's like, oh my God, like you're here. And they like keep hugging. That was their first time ever touching. Like
Wow.
they did not practice that scene. And I was like, I really thought that was a really good first time like
Wow.
Wow.
interaction.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a good nugget. That made it
Yes.
feel even more
Even
authentic.
more.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
like a
Mm-hmm.
catharsis, like, wow, it's finally happening.
Yes.
Like, we're together. So, Toya, is there something that you're currently watching that you're enjoying? And then is there something that you're looking forward to?
I've been watching a lot of cooking shows, a lot of Beat Bobby Flay Chopped, the
Oh,
Halloween
love.
edition.
Ooh.
Um, and what else? I feel like I've been watching a lot of YouTube, like just like, supporting the YouTube girlies and guys and thems who
Yeah.
are
Mm-hmm.
just like trying to make money off of content and like teaching us something. So I really want to like relaunch my YouTube next year. So just trying
Ooh.
to
Yeah.
gear up for and planning and plotting for those
Mm-hmm.
2024 goals.
Love
Yes.
it.
Yes.
On my end, I feel like I'm excited for some more A24 content. They
Mm.
have a movie called Priscilla coming out. That's a take on Elvis's relationship with Priscilla Presley. And I
Ooh.
feel like the Presleys have been in the media a lot, right?
A
There was the
lot.
Elvis movie last year. Lisa Marie sadly passed away earlier this year. So I'm just curious to see what this movie's like. And then if y'all are looking for more kind of like Asian representation in your content, I recently watched Joyride, which came out earlier this year, and it was so fun. So highly recommend.
I'm writing that one down. Joyride.
Yes,
Yeah, I heard it was funny. I gotta go watch
it
it.
was really funny.
Kind of like what you said, Toya. I feel like right now I'm watching a lot of reality. I mean, kind of by choice. I love reality TV.
Yeah,
But
that's
there
like your go-to.
Oh wait, I forgot one show that I'm watching, which I don't really think the acting's that great, but it's just on and I'm just watching it because
yeah.
something else is on. But it's like the power shows that like 50 Cent does.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's I don't know, it's the Tommy show, the Tommy one, but I don't even think it's called the Tommy show. But all
Oh,
we were talking
it's
about
like
on like Black Twitter
Power
where it's like
Ghost
Twitter was like
something book.
everyone calls it the Tommy show, but it's like something else.
Is it good? Is it worth watching?
I mean, it's something, It's I laugh at parts that are not supposed to be funny,
Oh,
but
goodness.
I don't know. It's interesting, like the street dynamics of like the drug game. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting watch. It's something like scripted, I guess. I think they filmed it a while ago, so I'm like, I'll watch it. Like my boyfriend watches it, so I'll just like watch it with him. But sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the acting is not up to par,
Yeah.
but it makes it funny.
Hey, yeah, kind of hate
Yeah,
watch.
yeah. I enjoyed being here with you all, and you know, I love Past Lives. Yes.
Yes, that's
Yay.
the main takeaway. Past Lives, this is
Mhm.
great. Please watch. And Toya, where can people find you? On like
Um,
social?
yeah. On my personal is Toya from Harlem, and then spelled extra spelling, just that all together, no spaces, and that's my personal. And then my podcast is That Wasn't in My Textbook, all over the interwebs. So yeah, I'm pretty consistent.
Yay.
Amazing.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much for coming and
Yes.
joining us. We had so much fun
Yes, so much
talking.
fun.
And
Yes.
we're so happy that you and Shelby connected and that we're able to be here today. And yes, go support Toya's podcast. That was not in my textbook. If you enjoyed listening today, please leave us Sisters Who Watch 5-star review, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Instagram, all social medias at Sisters Who Watch. Follow and support us there.
X, LinkedIn, wherever you are, follow us. We're there.
I love it.
If we want to hear from y'all, you can DM us on social media, email us, sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. You know, Toya reached out about doing this, so please let us know what you want to listen to, and we're gonna make it happen.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay watching.